This is the story of a bank heist that made waves in the media for its unusual style and Hollywood-esque elements, often spoken of as the work of a criminal mastermind, using cunning and a unique flair. However, each time this story hit the news, the official version changed. To get to the heart of it, we need to delve into every detail. Around 11 a.m. on September 30th, 2008, in the small town of Monroe, Washington, a Brinks armored truck rolled into the Bank of America branch parking lot for a routine cash delivery. The guard, laden with 2 bags of cash and pushing a hand cart with 4 boxes of coins, made his way to the bank entrance. Just before this, a group of landscapers had started gathering near the bank. Dressed identically in work boots, blue caps, long-sleeve blue shirts, fluorescent safety vests, and dust masks, they were indistinguishable from one another. As the guard approached the bank, one of the landscapers ditched his weed sprayer and quickly intercepted him. Getting close without raising suspicion, he sprayed pepper spray in the guard's face. The spray caused the guard to reach for his eyes, dropping the card with the cash. The landscaper grabbed the 2 bags, containing over $400,000, and sprinted towards a nearby stream by the bank. There, he hopped into a pre-placed inflatable tubing boat and floated down the stream under the U.S. Route 2 overpass towards the Skykomish River, heading towards the sea. Meanwhile, the police arrived and found the parking lot swarming with men matching the robber's description, the landscapers. The guard easily relinquished the money. A face full of pepper spray is quite unpleasant, but an adult man should be able to endure it while protecting the cash he's paid to guard. On the other hand, he was likely paid just above minimum wage, so he may have had a different view of the risks worth taking for the bank's money. Though not suspected of complicity in the crime, was that really the case? We'll find out later. Typically, armored truck guards work in pairs and are heavily armed. So why didn't they draw their firearms to stop the criminal? The answer is surprisingly Hollywood-esque. The robber's getaway vehicle was an inflatable tubing boat, yellow with black writing, designed for rafting. Police theorized the boat was stolen pre-crime and set up on the stream's bank, hidden by bushes, in a straight line from the crime scene. During his short sprint between the parking lot and the stream, the robber discarded items that were no longer necessary, would have hindered his movement, and could incriminate him if caught with them. Pepper spray, hat, wig, sunglasses, dust mask. Or did he drop them accidentally in haste? Witnesses reported that 2 citizens chased the robber but stopped when he entered the stream to board the tubing. Later, police found the tubing boat 200 meters downstream from where he boarded. Was the boat a decoy? While the tubing boat lay on the bank downstream, in the opposite direction, upstream from the crime scene, a man claiming to be a vagrant reported seeing someone fitting the robber's description. So, was the tubing boat released by the robber to drift and serve as a decoy? Or were the vagrants' claims a diversion? The mysteries only multiply, but we're unraveling them. Upon arrival, police found not one but about 10 men fitting the suspect's description. Across from the bank in Eagle Park, men loitered, believing they were hired for a landscaping project, awaiting the project manager's arrival. It turned out that on September 27, 2008, a job listing for experienced landscape workers was posted online. Required gear, safety goggles, a respirator mask, and a yellow safety vest, plus a long-sleeve blue shirt. They were promised 9 days of work at nearly $30 an hour, a tempting offer. Too good to be true. Respondents to the fake job ad were emailed to be in the park by 11 o'clock and wait for the project manager. The email contained no contact number or company name. The duped workers were joking about being part of a prank when police cars whizzed by with sirens blaring and lights flashing. The duped decoys served a triple purpose. The large number of similarly dressed landscapers gave the guard a false sense of security as he carried the large money bags. After the heist, the guard, now pepper sprayed, saw 10 or more suspects and couldn't rightfully shoot, as landscapers are typically seen as innocent in normal society. Well, until they commit a heist. They also help confuse the police, who had to spend time and resources interrogating each decoy, all potentially providing the same useless information. Police and journalists dubbed the robber DB Tuber, noting his use of the tubing boat for escape, and as a nod to the local legend. parachutist D.B. Cooper, who in 1971 extorted $200,000 and parachuted from a plane. But what else did the cops have besides this witty nickname? Pepper spray, a small bag of money, a hat, wig, sunglasses, dust mask. These were the only leads. Everything else was a distraction and dead end. The job site couldn't identify who posted the landscape rat. The mask gave the most reliable information, the criminal's DNA, also known as DB tuber. But to convict someone, they needed to match this DNA to a real person. Then a light bulb went off in the head of a senior sergeant, a police veteran. With a population of just under 14,000, Monroe seemed to have more than its fair share of civic-minded vagrants. The sergeant remembered glancing at a patrol report involving a passerby who called himself a vagrant. On September 9, 2008, behind his usual dumpster across from a bank, the vagrant found items for a potential heist. A small black two-way radio, a yellow safety vest, a black wig with a short ponytail, dark clothing, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. The vagrant saw a man arrive in a silver SUV, collect the items, and drive away. He noted the license plate, not out of concern for public safety, but not wanting to be implicated in any dirty business. Then he reported the plate number to the cops. The officer who took the report found no crime committed and took no action. Unfortunately, the initial call was actually sent to Arlington police in a neighboring city, and this delay undoubtedly cooled the arriving officer's eagerness to act. Monroe police assumed it was just an aborted robbery attempt. And here's where it gets really interesting. The license plate provided by the vagrant matched a silver Chevy Trailblazer owned by a woman in Lake Stevens. On October 6, 2009, the FBI began surveilling her and other family members, particularly her husband. The FBI retrieved his DNA from a drink bottle he discarded at a gas station and compared it with the DNA from the mask and wig dumped near the robbery site. The DNA samples matched, and the man was arrested in Lake Stevens, Washington, as he exited a luxurious SUV with $17,000 cash. A second man, the criminal's buddy, was also arrested and jailed for possession of stolen property. It was unclear if he was involved in the robbery, but it was evident he was hanging out with the loot, spending money on computers and furniture. Only after formal criminal charges were brought was the identity of DB tuber revealed to the public. The arrested man was identified as Anthony Kurchio, a 28-year-old living in Snohomish County near Lake Stevens. A member of a well-known, wealthy family in Monroe, Kurchio was popular in school, the captain of the football team, a local hero, a golden boy destined for great things, now just sitting in a cell facing criminal charges and harsh punishment. What led Kurchio to such actions? Kurchio's future seemed bright and promising, but he suffered a serious injury during a training session. His sports career derailed, scholarship lost, college education halted. He returned to his hometown and started a landscaping business. For a while, life was okay, thanks to powerful painkillers masking the constant, nagging pain he still felt. Ambitious and driven, he got into house flipping, notching a decent sales record, good enough to feel confident about the future. He married his high school sweetheart, and they started a family. But the future wobbled. The U.S. economy crashed, and house sales plummeted. Kurchio also struggled with pain from the injury, increasingly self-medicating with painkillers and alcohol, becoming less capable of sound judgment. By 2008, he had to work in his parents' landscaping company, and early that year, he learned he and his wife Emily were expecting another little girl. He could no longer make mortgage payments, and his own home was at risk of foreclosure. He saw his life spiraling down, and a large sum of money seemed the only way out. That's when he came up with the idea to rob the armored truck. The idea struck him while working on a landscaping project at the federal courthouse in downtown Seattle, where he watched armored trucks make deliveries. His plan worked almost perfectly. After he vanished, he stashed over half of the money in a storage safe at his friend's place, then started blowing the cash wildly. He leased a luxurious Range Rover loaded with all the bells and whistles. He invited 6 of his buddies for a week-long Vegas trip, where he rented a house and partied with them in nightclubs. He was once again the captain and leader, generously handing out gifts and largesse. He felt he deserved these lavish rewards for his bravery and cleverness, having left nothing to chance. The robbery was executed almost flawlessly, and now, finally, he could enjoy the sweet life. It could have been sweet, if not for that vagrant who gave the cops Kurchio's license plate. When Kurchio ended up in prison, it seemed his marriage was doomed. His wife, Emily, had no idea what her husband had been up to, and it's believed he intentionally kept her in the dark. Initially, the judge released him on bail. But when it was discovered that Kurchio tried to influence a witness, his bail was revoked, worsening his situation. In court, the state portrayed Kurchio as a privileged individual, brazen and believing he could get away with anything. They also noted his addiction to pills and alcohol led him to a life of crime. The jury found him guilty. In prison, Kurchio wrote books. He started with his memoirs, discussing the robbery and his addiction to painkillers, benzodiazepines, and cocaine. For him, it was therapeutic. Kurchio shared a cell with 2 inmates who had previously attacked another prisoner. Although prison authorities knew Kurchio wasn't involved in the assault, he inexplicably spent 7 months in solitary confinement. In solitary, he was beaten, witnessed suicides, and at night, cockroaches crawled over his body. After release, he wrote a book, Heist and High, vowing to prevent others from making the same choices he did. During his incarceration, Kurchio wrote and illustrated over 20 children's books, including My Daddy's in Jail, aimed at children of incarcerated parents. Post-prison, Kurchio was released in 2013 and moved to Woodinville in King County. In 2014, he reportedly lived quietly as a stay-at-home dad for his 2 children. In a September interview with the Seattle Times, Kurchio acknowledged his mistakes and said that post-release, he spoke at local schools in Washington and Oregon about the dangers of drug addiction, which, according to him, led to the spiral that ultimately resulted in the robbery. This is a happy ending to a tale that almost went terribly wrong. The armored truck guard, whom I depicted as a bit of a dope, quit his job immediately after the heist, citing deteriorating vision, chronic headaches, and post-traumatic stress. Sure, he might have faked symptoms for compensation. Nevertheless, cynical and tough detective that I am, I give him the benefit of the doubt. If you like this story, subscribe to my channel, home to mysteries and enigmas.